Sahaviryankaravavahe Jasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Shanti. Vedas are given only for the qualified people. Veda not for everyone. Veda includes the Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda all put together. They're all not for everybody. Upanishads, when I say that, what I mean is the Upanishads is not for everyone. It's not for a common man. Then they gave another one for those who have this equations and all that, like Bhagavad Gita and all that. The problem with those things is that it is not easy to understand. Now, for the Upanishads, we are not qualified. For Bhagavad Gita, we cannot understand. Therefore came the other texts explaining for the same ideas in a format which people can connect. What is the easiest way for people to get connected is through stories. That's the easiest form, which everyone can connect, no matter what level of your growth is and all that. Everyone will have a stake in that. That is how this text like Ramayana, Mahabharata, this Puranas, all those things came. There they take a particular character, a particular personality, and spin around various scenarios, various situations. So many things that has happened to them in their life and how they had managed to go through those things without compromising the principle. We also go through. We also encounter situations. We also go through crisis. We also go through problems in life. But somewhere down the line, we would compromise with our dharma. Somewhere down the line, we will say, let's adjust. See, now how these masters have lived is where we have those great personalities. One such iconic figure that we have is Rama. One man inspired for generations. How Valmiki had painted the picture of Rama with so many situations, so much of a problem. How he managed the success of the failures of life, the twists and turns, without losing. That is why we call him as Avatar. That's what Avatar is. Avatar don't think people take birth suddenly. It's not like that. Avatara Purusha, we say, means a man who managed to live far, far beyond anyone around him. He's an avatar. Those who had managed to live beyond their, the contemporaries. And the contemporaries also were great in their own way. It's not that his contemporaries are ordinary people. See, like we say, no, in the land of blind, one-eyed man is a king. Say, not like that. Now, people around him were all stalwarts. Like Rama, if you take, his brothers were stalwarts. Lakshmana is a character by himself. Bharata stands in terms of dharma, I'm talking about. terms of how they lived their righteous life, uncompromising, stalwart. Chaturguna, stalwart. His father, the Dasharatha, is another extraordinary personality. His teacher, he had two teachers, two gurus he had. One is Vasishta, another one is Vishwamitra. He had two gurus. Both of them were Brahma Rishis. His wife, another stalwart. His friend, stalwarts. You see, whether it is, he befriends the tribe or the, Sugriva you take, or Vibhishna you take, all those people, stalwarts. Everyone around Rama, all stalwarts. He stands tall above all those people. See, they all look up to Rama. And not to talk about the greatest Hanuman. There is no one you can compare to Hanuman in entire Ramayana. And not to talk about his enemy, the villain, his life, Ravana. Ravana is no ordinary person. He is also a great one. Meaning powerful, not that just a normal one. It's a powerful fellow. So we find everyone around them so great in their presence. He is great. That's how they compare. Say, Rama is like a sun and rest are all like stars. The moment sun comes up, all stars disappear. In the presence of sun, stars have no value. Everything goes off. Now, what is sun? Sun is also star only, actually. But sun is different, we say. So that is avatar. Avatar Purusha, we say, is that. That's how they have developed even though, there are so many avatars we have, there are 10 popular avatars we have, we study. Matsya, Kurma, first is a fish. And then that, whale. The one fish means not that goldfish we see. Whale. That's a big one. So amongst the living creatures, because life evolved first in the water. So in that, which is the biggest, is a whale. So they said Vishnu took avatar as whale. That's all. Then tortoise came in. Because tortoise is more evolved than whale. Now you can't take only size into consideration. Because tortoise can live in water, also it can live in land. So tortoise is much bigger, better evolved. You see, that's how this, the Ashavatar was evolved. It's been conceived and presented, just an evolutionary idea. I don't compare it immediately with this Darwin. Darwin also said something. This or that is Darwin's personal presentation. His agenda, his ideas are very different. But essentially, these people also had that same or very similar idea here. So it evolved into next level, much better. Then they said, far better than that, much more stronger than that is a wild boar. It's much stronger. Varaha. And then came Narsimha, which is half animal, half human. Then Vamana Avatar, human, but a small one, tiny fellow. Okay. Then Parashurama, who is far more stronger than him. Then comes Rama. And then we had Krishna. Then Buddha. Yet to come is Kalki Desi. All, one, next. These are all various avatars at different levels of evolutionary process. A point would come where it reaches a peak and then it starts coming down, descending. It is a cycle, remember. So the whole thing gets completion. So it's not that it keeps on going. It's not, one dimensional. It just goes on direction. It's not linear. Evolution is not linear according to scriptures. According to Darwin, it is not known. The way he presents it is, it looks more like a linear one. It just gets better. That's the only direction it goes. Now here they say, no, it doesn't go like that. It goes up, whole thing gets collapse at a point, and then comes next. In that, they said, even though they have presented those 10 avatars, of the 10 avatars, they have taken only 2 as the most prominent one. Even though other avatars are all great and in their own glory, their own best and all that, but of that 10, they take innumerable avatars, they say. Of that, they take 24. In that 24, this 10 is the most important one. In that 10, these 2 were the ultimate, highest. That is Rama and Krishna. So that Rama character, what is this? Is one. When you study, there are 2 ways of studying Rama. One, we study Rama as just a character analysis. We don't do anything more than that. We just study Rama and say he is a character, he is a person who lived, was a king, what all he did, how he did, and all those things. We study that. This is one way. Another way is you see Rama essentially as God and then study his life. So one is, I wouldn't call the first one is intellectual, another one is devotional. I say there are 2 ways of studying. First one is not intellectual. First one is more of a historical. What is the period of Rama? Like people ask, no, what is the guarantee you have that Rama was born exactly in that spot? You see. Now you people also say, no, where is birthplace? You put it, no, in the passport. What is the guarantee? You give it to the passport office, and the passport office writes and gives. Like I have in my passport. Both of us were given, me and my daughter, both of us are having same district. But I was born in one village, she is born in another village. 2 villages, so no connection. But according to the records, what it will say? Both will be given by the same the strict authority. Exactly where you are born. Oh, that's why they say, even in those who write the horoscope, they say it's approximation only. Because exact time of birth is not known to anybody. What is the exact time the birth happens? Nobody knows. So there is no way that you can have your horoscope precisely being written. Not possible. Just now, this is not our issue here. You don't worry about the historical authenticity of whether Rama existed or not. What is his period of existence? Was he 10,000 years back, or 15,000 years back, or 2,000 years back, or 200 years back? No, that's not our job here. So first we need to do is remove those things. When you're studying here, the context here is nothing to do with that. Number one. Second one is, you start studying the things based on the scholarship analysis. Scholars, the literary scholars analyze. Now we have no interest in terms of doing that literary analysis also. See, that's not the focus. So one, we are not looking from the historical precision. Two, we are not going to be doing this literature students analysis, how they study, Ramayana or Rama. That is not our focus. Then from which direction we are studying Rama is, we are studying Rama from the direction, from the angle of how that personality can inspire us to live our life. That's about it. There is nothing else we are interested in. Whether Rama did right or wrong is not our business to identify. Sita has not appointed you as a lawyer. Fight my case. You're not having any letter from Sita. She is not interested. Nor, the Asharada has appointed you, nor Vali appointed you, nor anyone has appointed any one of us. We simply talk based on the things we have nothing else to do. So therefore what? Pick up something and start analyzing that. Now Rama, if you are going to be studying, first we need to ask this question: why do you want to study Rama? For which the Ramayana itself gives us that specific direction. See, mostly people miss that first step. This is what all of us do in our thinking. The first step we take for granted. After that, we do a fantastic analysis. First step is assumed. Yeah, correct. Like who you should marry, when the marriage should happen, how the marriage should happen. Tremendous analysis. But why should I get married? That question we don't ask. See, first you need to answer that question. Then comes who you have to marry, when the marriage should happen, how the marriage should happen, etc. All that you can analyze. Not that you should not analyze those things. But then we have to decide first what is the right question to be asked first. Similarly, you see Ramayana, the starting itself, Valmiki sets the parameter. And a fantastic parameter he sets. You know, the starting is Narada comes to Valmiki's ashram. That is how Ramayana begins. One day, Narada comes to Valmiki's ashram. Why Allah, you can't ask. Why Narada coming? You can't ask, because Narada is Valmiki's guru. Right? So he visits. When Valmiki saw Narada, first thing, this is what teaching is. This is how these people, teach us. The moment you see your guru, what's the first thing you do? What do you do first? First thing, we don't ask him for blessings and all that. Because his blessing is already there. See, the fact that he has accepted you as a student, no need for asking for blessing every time. Straight away, next verse in Ramayana is Om Vasmin Sampradam Loke, he says. Straight he starts asking question to Narada. No greetings, no pleasantries, nothing. Straight inquiry. Direct quick question. And he gives 16 qualities. 16 different qualities he gives and asks.
What is the question?
He says, in this world, Amritam Loke means currently in the world. In the world, right now, is there anyone having these qualities, he asks. Let me see whether I have that with me. I don't remember whether we know that. Fascinating ideas. Here it is. Om Asmin Sampratam Loke Gunavan Kascha Viryavan Dharmajnascha Kritajnascha Satyavakyo Dritavrata. Now, Sanskrit I don't have to worry about. Okay, I'll just read the translation straight. Who is in this world, lives today, endowed with excellent qualities: prowess, righteousness, gratitude, truthfulness, firmness in his vows. Who is that one gifted with good conduct, given to well-being of all creatures? Sarvabhuteshu kokitara. Who has this? Charitrena cha koyukta. Who has the charitra? That's that. Gifted with good conduct, given to well-being of all living creatures. Learned, Vidwan Kaha. Knowledge, learned. Who is the learned amongst the people? The Lord. Capable of doing things which others cannot do. Singularly handsome. Okay. Who is self-restrained? Atmavanka, Jitakrota, who has conquered anger, who is endowed with brilliance, free from envy, who is that when excited to wrath, even the devas are afraid. All these qualities should exist in one person. Our problem is, you see, what, this is how you read these things. The moment the teacher comes, the students rattles off these questions. Now imagine that I give you some time. Right? Think and write a quick question of all good, great human qualities that you can think of. Write down. If we ask, what we will write. At least this is what I did. The moment I read Ramayana, I stopped here. I said, forget about Ramayana, man. This is more interesting to see, because first of all, you see a guru, straight away you ask questions, and he is just going on adding qualities. With such qualities were coming in him in such a free flow that shows what? What does it mean? Huh? He has been constantly thinking about it. He has been, brooding over on human greatness. And the very fact that he is asking all these qualities, does it exist in any human? Anyone who has that? Anybody? If you say that I wanted to have this, well, how do you say it is only devas? You are not referring to only he is referring only to human, not the devas, because of the last quality. How he constructs, you see. Suppose if Narada were to say, yeah, all these qualities are there in Agni Deva. Let's say, Vayu Bhagavan. Surya Deva has all these qualities, he says. That is why he wants to negate that possibility of the Devas. Therefore, he adds that in the last quality. Says, the moment this fellow gets angry, even the Devas should get scared. You see, that should be the caliber of that person. So Devas are ruled out. You see. Now, who you got to bring in? Then we have Durvasa Rishi, sir. What about Durvasa Rishi? Devas all scared of him. No. He says, is Durvasa singularly handsome? See, you can't talk about handsomeness of a Rishi. Ashtavakra. There. We don't know what's his original name. Vakra means bend. Ashtavakra means 8 bends. The body has 8 bends. That's his name. Ashtavakra. That has to be a nickname of him. Nickname, people keep, like that. They must have kept. What's his original name? We don't know. Now, Rishi need not be a handsome person. Handsomeness and Rishi cannot go together. Then, who has to be? Even though he is not specifying with reference to any human, we have to infer from this as Valmiki is asking, is there any human? Means he is conceiving that possibility a human should be able to have all these qualities in one. It should be a possibility. If the possibility is not there, we will never ask this question itself. Isn't it? We don't ask that question. Have you seen any human with the horns? You can't ask. You see, it is an impossibility. The 16 qualities he must have enumerated, which means he had conceived so much, he had well thought of. Now go back to the first one. Narada came to Valmiki's ashram. Why he came? Not as a visitor. Narada doesn't want to visit Valmiki. Valmiki's question, the thinking of Valmiki has reached its saturation. Since it has reached that saturation point, Narada appears. You see that? Otherwise, you will think, Narada, of course, who is Narada? As far as we are concerned, Narada is a fellow who is a gossip monger, who will keep visiting everywhere and create trouble. He is a troublemaker, gossip monger is what you know of. Very, very pathetic understanding of the character of Narada, the glory. There are two characters in the Shastras where we have made a mess. Is these two, Sudama and Narada. These two characters, the ones, I've not seen anyone throwing, nowhere that they have been depicted in the manner in which they should have been depicted, presented. Narada. Sudama is more of a joker, Narada is more of a gossip monger. Pathetic, understand. Extreme qualities. And then Narada's reply to that is the best part. He says, you have asked a tough question. Let me think, he says. He's not giving answer straight away. He says, you have asked a very difficult question. It is a complicated question you have asked. Let me think and then give a reply. Then he gives the reply to Narada, the Valmiki. There he says, the king of Ayodhya, Rama, the son of that Dasharatha, is the one who is endowed with all the 16 qualities that you have enumerated. And not only the 16, he has much, much more than this also. Yes. During which time, what you have to remember is Valmiki knows Rama. It's not that Valmiki doesn't know Rama. Because Sita is living in his ashram at that time. Valmiki's ashram. He's living in Valmiki's ashram. She's there. After the exile. Rama, there's one, big criticism we have about Rama. How can he reject Sita? Isn't it wrong? This is what the problem is. When you are studying Rama's character, we forget one thing. Each situation, in every scenario, when you read Rama, you got to read Rama as that particular angle only. See, when you are reading this, don't bring in another role. Rama as son. Rama as king. Rama as husband. Rama as master. It's so interesting. The problem is when you are studying the character of Rama as a son, do not bring in the role of a king there. Because if you bring in the role of a king, when he is playing the role of a son, in the name of your critical analysis, somehow I'm not comfortable with the term itself. Critical analysis means you have already decided, I'm going to do what? Hmm? Like they say, no, devil's advocate. See, the fact that you are sitting, devil's advocate means what are you then? Hmm? I don't know why, we never have a divine advocate. Only devil, has got advocate. Divine doesn't have an advocate at all, actually. Very funny. Critical analysis. There is no such thing called critical analysis. You cannot. Because the fact that you have already said you're going to do a critical analysis means you are prejudiced against. You're against it already. So one person is for it, you are doing against it. Either case, both are prejudiced. One is prejudiced for, one is prejudiced against. That's about it. Now, doing an analysis without getting involved, without taking both sides, means you have to take whose side then. You can't go for or against. Means you have to be analyzing how, you have to be analyzing the situation as it is presented. You can't modify it. You can't correct it. You can't change it. Now we see this presentation, the stories have been, there is so much of retelling the story. Since there is so much of retelling, and in each language at different periods of time when it is retold, everyone will be speaking according to his personality and his situation. See, now that there we have lot of factual differences, presentations. Here what we have to study is this. Before you say that, no, Rama made a mistake. Okay, now even if you say, yes, Rama made a mistake also, is it going to make any difference? It's not going to make any difference. Why? Because Rama is dead and gone. Now, no point in you sitting here and screaming about it. You see? Okay, are we going to change the story Ramayana now? You can't change it. You can write a new one, new story you can write, wherein he called the Dobiwala and chopped his head off or cut his tongue. You talk about my wife, chopped his tongue. I can write a story, but still that old story will remain as a story only. No. Suppose if I write new Ramayana, who is going to buy? Will the next generation read that book? That's how we have to study. See, the fact that this Ramayana text was written how many years back? The story. Valmiki I'm talking about. Not other versions, not Hindi, Urdu there is, Telugu there is, Tamil there is. There's supposed to be, so many Ramayanas. Of that, I have seen about 9 considered to be very popular and very strong, has a tremendous influence in that, regional areas. But what is so interesting is all of them say Valmiki Ramayana is the original. Tulsidas says Ramayana is this one. Adhyatma Ramayana says this is the one. Kamba Ramayana says this is the one. All these languages, when they have written, they all say Valmiki Ramayana is the original. So we have to take, if there is any dispute, if there is any complication, we have to go to what? You can resolve it only by going to Valmiki. You cannot go to others. Which means Valmiki Ramayana was written so many years back. Today we are sitting and studying. how many books next generation have studied? I don't know about other languages. Right? Only a small portion of people only study. Let's say in English, if you take, we have seen movies of Romeo and Juliet. Yeah? Romeo and Juliet, you have seen the movies. Have you ever inquired what is the age of Juliet and what is the age of Romeo? Original. Find out. I'm not going to say. Find out and then watch the movies. You will see so much of the distortion. That's not what is this. Like Mahabharata, you have seen. So many movies you have seen Mahabharata in so many forms. You know, this one, that one, this character, the character, that one, and all those things. Everywhere you will find one actress playing the role of a Draupadi. Right? Draupadi. You know how Vyasa describes her? One of her name is Krishna, which means dark. Draupadi is supposed to be dark or black, dark skin, like Krishna. Now you see all the things. Not a single version I have seen where they got hold of a dark skinned person to play the role. All Draupadis, as far as they are concerned, is who? Very fair. She was beautiful, there's no doubt about it. Vyasa says she is such a beautiful lady, but she is dark skinned. Whereas, how we describe, you see, not only there, I'm saying here, even the small details, you may say, you know, what difference does it make? It makes a lot of difference in terms of what? Why in the text, when it is clearly mentioned, it is dark skinned. Why these people are not putting a dark skinned person to play the role of Draupadi? Why? Can you think? Why? Yes? Huh?
Doesn't matter what is skin is.
Hello, you can't change it, no? What do you mean? If you are creating a character, Harry Potter is my imagination. I will say that is the character of him, that is how he is. Now here I am retelling and remaking what is given in the book. The book clearly says she is dark skinned. Now I change that and put a fair skinned person, not one fellow. Suppose if only one person has done that, I would say maybe he doesn't know or he thought it doesn't matter. No, it matters. That is why everyone has done that. You can't say skin color doesn't matter. It matters. To whom? To the producer. To the producers, it mattered. That is why he brings. What is the problem? Why? When he is making a movie, he is making it for what? He is making it for people to watch. Correct? 1. 2. When he is making that movie for people to watch, people will not watch if a person were to be dark. We cannot appreciate. Our eyes, we believe in what? We know beauty is only in fair skin. The dark skin, we don't know beauty. And the best part is, Rama is depicted as dark skin, Krishna depicted as dark skin. At least Krishna, you find people, applying paint. Rama, blue color. Paint, they apply. N.T. Ramarao comes, no? N.T. Ramarao, you see, all characters, they come with paint. But Draupadi, they don't paint her and bring her in that color. That's what I like the best, of Lawrence Olivier. I couldn't believe, actually. I've never known anything about Shakespeare. I know there is a guy called Shakespeare. There's somebody called Shakespeare who were there in English, has written something. I don't know what he was also. After that, only got to know that he is a playwright. After I joined the academy, that's where I saw the movies. And when I joined, first we saw a movie, and then next one, after some time, we watched the next play, Shakespeare's one. That's this Othello. So Laurence Olivier. After about 2 weeks later, we were watching this, what is it? Not Macbeth, the other one. Hamlet. After that, Richard III. Right. As usual, my tendency is not to watch, the names. Usually they display names and all that. No, we forward it. Even the programs and all that, you watch, I forward it. Boring, man. Who's going to watch, who's actor in this? After about 4 or 5 months, I got to know that it's the same fellow who acted as Othello, the same one who acted as Hamlet, same one, Richard III. Same actor. When he acted as Othello is a Moor. Full black paint. I thought that's a different person actually. His language, body language is different, the dialogue delivery is different, the voice modulation is different, everything is different. Now, he comes as a Hamlet, body language different, the appearance is different, the dialogue delivery is different, the diction is different, everything is different. Richard III, everything different. That's classic. Cannot. Same way, Romeo and Juliet. We make some changes. Remember, it is impossible that you would be able to faithfully reproduce exact as it is. It's not possible. And all our understanding of those things is only through what? Through Amar Chitrakatha, through the movies, or through TV serial. Nothing else. See, we don't know anything more than that. You see, now, if you have to understand, there is a classical literatures always present with so much. Now, coming back to the criticism that we have on Rama, that how can he exile Sita? Right. Now, we have to think here and at least employ our visualization and imagination. As a king, what is his job? One of the rule of a king is to employ spies there. Not only in his enemy countries, neighboring countries, friendly other countries. He has to have spies in his country. Every government will do. Whether it is democratically elected government also will do. Remember that. There's no point in simply talking for our outside. How can the government can spy? They will do it. They will check. You can't expect the government not to do it. It will do. Every government, it's the duty of a government. Only then you can govern. So he sends spies. And he has been getting information from very many. Don't think it is just that one Dobiwala. Right? That also is not presented in Valmiki Ramayana. That is presented in the later versions. Why they took the Dobiwala, and Dobiwala, that also when he is drunk. When he is drunk, that is how the story comes. Story comes is the Dobiwala drunk and he is fighting with his wife. And he is throwing her out. I said, what do you think of me? You think I am Rama or what? Accept you that. I am not like that. I have prestige. I will not. I don't yield to all these weaknesses. He is weak. I am not. This is what he says. Now, my question to you people is, this is why we have to pause. Why they have to present Dobi fellow? One. Two. Why they have to present Dobi fellow drunk? Why they are presenting Dobi fellow who is drunk and he is fighting? What is that? He is not in the frame of mind at all. When you are not in the frame of mind, what will come out of you? The truth will come. What you are actually thinking at the subconscious level. Remember, this is not my statement. This is what the father of psychology says. Right? He says there is no such thing called slip of tongue. In anger, I said, no. In anger only, you speak the truth. When you are drunk, you speak the truth. That is why these people have that, the injections they give to extract truth. They give them, some injection they give, some chemical, which is not allowed. Under supervision only allowed at the extreme situations. But otherwise it's not. They have to extrapolate, some information from the fellow. Why? Because when you are normal, you have very many defense mechanisms in you, which would distort your expressions, your speech. When you are drunk and you are angry. See, there are people who get drunk, and when they get drunk, they just keep quiet. Have you seen? Some of them, they get drunk means, they'll keep quiet. Some of them get drunk means they'll start laughing. What? There are people, when they get drunk, they will start singing. I had my friend's father. When he gets drunk means he will become so eloquent in English. Amazingly he will speak English. When he starts English means, yes, and that each one has. Now here, it's double confirmation. That poet is giving a double confirmation to us by what? By stating, this person is not a sophisticated personality. That's why Dobi. Not a sophisticated means what? Sophisticated fellows would know how to, even when they are angry, they would know how to manipulate, play with words. You see, this unsophisticated personalities were the one who would not know They don't have that scholarliness. They don't have that much of words with them to use big words. They just use common terms. That is why Dobi, don't immediately Dobi means, don't get into this social aspects in here. Dobi means a person who is unsophisticated, means he would not have too much of words, that vocabulary, to put across even the wrong, negative in a very diplomatic manner. You cannot expect diplomatic presentations from him. See, that's why Dobi. Yes. Then drunk. Second one. Third one he says he is angry also, which means absolutely all that defense possibilities in a person to camouflage, to modify what his actual feelings are, what he is actually thinking, all gone. That means plain, blunt truth will come out. What he is actually thinking. So Rama takes that as a reference point. See, not that one man speaking. Remember, we study it like this. I study in this manner. I say how I prefer to see that situation is this. Now the news comes to Rama, and I say, look at the honesty of that spy to come and report it to the king directly. What freedom, what confidence that spy must be having. See, imagine, it's like one local constable going and having a conversation with the prime minister, with the president, reporting about his wife. Now, you must have that understanding first. Forget about prime minister. His circle inspector, he cannot go on voice. That shows what was the quality of the king and the honesty of that spy to report it. This alone we forget. We get excited with that scene, we miss the nuances. Now, how you have to study Rama, this is how you have to study. He heard that. Imagine he not reporting to Rama. Rama wouldn't have known. Right? And which is clearly that spy understands that it is not what to be considered. Rama cannot be taking a decision based on a Dobiwala drunk, in anger, he is shouting something. Can you take that as a reference point and make a decision? Will it be taken? Now imagine, the spy heard that and he is walking. He is going to Ayodhya. It's not that, he heard immediately, he ran and told. It's not like that. He heard that, and along with that, he had heard so many things. All that he is going and reporting to Rama. It's not that, he hears this and he runs into the chamber of the king and he is reporting to him. It's not like that. He reports so many things that has happened. It's not that you just go and meet, prime minister, president, just like that. So many protocols are there. When we are having protocols, the king also has protocols. Meanwhile, what must have been going through in the mind of that spy? To report or not to report? Correct? No. isn't it? To report or not to report, he would have debated no, within himself. After the debate, he decided to report. That shows what? Suppose if I say something, if that king gets angry, and he says, imagine Rama gets angry with that fellow. What did you do to the Dobiwala? You heard him abusively speaking about your queen. You hear that and say, oh, I will go and report to Rama. Leave him alone. First, what you should have done? Pick that fellow up and give one whack, at least. You should have given that. How dare you talk bad about queen? How can you speak like that? This is how you should have reacted if Rama asks, what would be the position of the Dobi, that spy now? Because we'll never know what is the reaction going to happen from his side. And this man is not, he has not done anything to the Dobiwala. Now he is reporting so much of debate. He goes and reports to Rama. And then what must have been the thought process of Rama? And what did he do? What is the options that he has right now? Okay, he is honest spy. Correct, sir. The spy is correct in what he has done. He heard that. Faithfully, he comes and reports to the king, which means both are fantastic in their relationship. Rama is so open to receive any sort of information, and there is no fear or any inhibitions the spies have ever had to report any information. There cannot be a worse information than this. Of all that spy information that can be shared, the worst is this. Even this, they are not able to. What is option Rama has? Now, all of us know what. He called Lakshmana and told him to take. Now, my point is, do you think, have you ever thought what happened between these two? He got the report, he sent a spy, and then next scene that you know of is Lakshmana, take Sita, leave her and come. Between these two, what has passed? Huh? What sort of turmoil? Turmoil means what? He must be thinking, no? He's thinking, right? He's not going to be immediately sitting and crying. How dare, how great Sita is, how good she is, how good I am, why these people talk like this about us, how bad they are. Not like that. That's not thinking. Then that's not Rama. Then it would be you and me. Means it is you and me thinking. Rama is not going to do that. He goes through a process. Final option is banishing Sita. There's no other option. Right? What is the process now? As who he is thinking now? Husband
King.
or king? Who is he now? He's a king. Right? Because the spy came and reported what? A king. King's wife can be like that, but not my wife. But King Rama can be behaving like that, keeping a queen that way, but not. That is what Dobi said, isn't it? Dobi's statement is what? He is criticizing, he is referring to Rama as who? As king, as a weak king. Okay, but reference is what? King only, the role of a king. Now, what is option he has? This part we don't know. You know what he does? First, he calls Lakshmana. Actually, he calls Bharata first. Before even like Lakshmana, he calls Bharata first. He's not revealing to Bharata anything. No news of that spy information, this, nothing. He's not telling anyone. He got the because he's not supposed to be discussing the secrets with everyone. He calls Bharata and tells Bharata that I have ruled this kingdom for a long period. Now, I want to take up to Vanaprastha. I'm thinking of taking Vanaprastha Ashrama. I'll go. And since you have been an interim king, you have experience of running a state, you take the kingship. Because he asks that. This part, most of us don't know. Why he is asking that? You can question me only as a king. If I renounce the throne, I do what I want with my wife. Who are you to ask? He can take a stand. I live with my wife. It is between me and my wife. How dare you talk about my wife? He can reply back. So first thing what Rama does was, now he can't say, I pack my bags and leave as a king. Siddhartha can do it. Why? He is not a king. He's only a prince. You see, prince doesn't have to inform everyone and leave. He can just pack and leave. But king cannot do that. King has to make an arrangement. First arrangement he is making this, he is calling Bharata. And Bharata gives a reply. He says, Rama, if I want to be a king, my mother already got the kingship for me. Right? Do you remember that? He asks. Do you remember? My mother's name? He asks. Hey, Kaikeyi. Do you remember Kaikeyi? First thought of Kaikeyi is what? Huh? The boons that he took, no. That's all he says. Bharata, beautiful reply he gives. He says, look here, you know my mother's name? Yes. Kaikeyi. He got the kingdom to me already. Right? I said, if there has to be a king of Ayodhya, it can be only Rama. No way near that. Forget it. Mark, Bharata doesn't know this information. Okay. As far as Bharata is concerned, what is it? Rama wants to take to Vanaprastha, because what else Rama can tell? And say, I'm going to leave. Immediately they will ask the question, why are you leaving? Why do you want to renounce the throne now? And Vanaprastha Ashrama is allowed for a king to take up. That's allowed. They can do it. So Rama takes that as an excuse first. But because if Rama were to reveal this is what the reason why I want to renounce kingdom, what would be the reaction of Bharata? Imagine, no. This is what I do. Imagine Rama calls Bharata and says, hey, you know what? People are all talking ill about Sita. So I can't afford to be a king. A king's wife cannot be, queen cannot be like that. So I have to step down as a king. What do you think Bharata would have done? What would be the reaction of Bharata? Hmm? Huh? Bharata's reaction would be what? He's not going to say yes to it. That is for sure. Bharata will never agree with this because he says, Rama, you have never ruled the kingdom. You know what all people spoke about me? Hmm? You have any clue of what was the discussion? Forget about the Dobiwala Rama. Vasishta was speaking about me like that. Do you know that? Is what Bharata would say. So for these people, talks alone, if you are going to be considering, that cannot be. Which would be appropriate for Bharata from Bharata's angle because he has gone through that. Isn't it? Because one character in Ramayana, without any fault of his side, being highly criticized, cursed by everyone, is Bharata, the most innocent character. And what I have never understood is there are millions of sympathizers we have for Karna. Hardly I have seen a sympathizer for Bharata. No one. Have you ever sympathized him? Think for yourself, no? How much of sympathy you have had on Karna, even though he had made blunders in his life. Not just small errors. Knowingly he has done things which even Duryodhana dare to do. That much he stoops down, Karna. But we have a lot of sympathy for him. Why? Whatever reason. Have you ever sympathized Bharata, who has been cursed and criticized by his father, by his guru himself? Vasishta curses him. Can you believe? Now Bharata will laugh at it and walk out. Next, he calls Lakshmana. He says, Lakshmana, I know, I have not given you anything. So after me, it is you. So you be the king. Right? Lakshmana says, kingship and me will never go together. Forget the reasons. Imagine if Rama would have told Lakshmana the truth about Sita, the fellow speaking like that. What Lakshmana would have done? Huh? He would have finished the entire Ayodhya. He will not kill that one fellow, Lakshmana. He will finish. There will be only 2-3 fellows will be standing. Rama will be standing, Lakshmana will be standing, Sita will be standing in Ayodhya kingdom. Population will be 3 people. The rest of it, Lakshmana would have finished this. So he can't tell him. He calls Lakshmana, Lakshmana laughs at it and walks out. He's not even reacting to it. Just sleep. Don't wake up in the night and start all this nonsense. I'm feeling sleepy, and he goes off. Then he calls, Atrugna, the last fellow, brother, and says, you accept the kingdom. In entire Ramayana, this is the only verse of Chaturguna we have. Nowhere Chaturguna directly speaking. Fantastic reply he gives. Says, Rama, I had a father. For a word that he gave, he renounced his life and kingdom. He left the kingdom and died. And I had a brother. For a word of his father, he renounced the kingdom and went away. And I had a brother who was given this kingdom on plate. He renounced the kingdom and refused to even enter the city and stood outside. And then there is another brother I had. That fellow went along with the brother who went to the forest, serving him, renouncing the kingdom. All those people had rejected. Do we think I will accept the rejects? Rama didn't know what to tell him. See, that's why we say these fellows are, very, in Ramayana, the most wise person of the four brothers. They say, who is the wisest? They say is Chaturghna. Similarly, in Mahabharata, of the Pandavas, the wise one is Sahadeva, the last one. So there is a tradition. They say the last child will always be wise. I'm the last in my family. For your information. Amazing. Wise ones. What a reply. This one I can never believe. Look at this reasoning, no? You think, only dogs will take the rejects. This kingdom is a reject of this. I don't take the rejects, Rama. Now he don't know what to do. He can't leave the kingdom. He's not able to find an alternative for the kingdom. Now, what is the option he has? This is how you should study Rama. If you are going to study Rama, you should study like this. I'm not saying, conclusion. I'm not saying Rama, what he did was right. If you can think of an alternative, which is not contrary to dharma, because options are all explored. Ignoring, can he afford to ignore? Not possible, because that's the belief they have. So every time when they come and stand in front of Rama and worship him and say, you are great and all that, Rama knows fully well what is their true thought behind it. He knows there is a suspicion. When you are constantly suspecting me, but in front of me you are praising. How can I ignore it? I can't ignore it. I can't dismiss it and say, get lost. Nor can he take action on that and say, how dare you speak like that? Because it will be infringing into the freedom of his thinking. Now, he has his own right to have his opinion. The only option he has is what? You can afford to have an opinion on me only because I am a king. So I'm willing to forego the kingship. But I can't simply forego the kingship without fixing a proper alternative. Now there is no alternative. Now when these people, now he can't call his minister and say, why don't you become the king? Imagine, it is impossible. Now, you can't simply call somebody as a minister and say that you become the prime minister. Some MP, even though all MPs are technically qualified, theoretically qualified to become the prime minister, but everyone will not be accepted as the prime minister. No. That is why when they go for election, they announce our prime minister candidate is this, our presidential candidate is this. Now, you can't say this is the only leader possible in that entire party. There's nobody qualified. It's not like that. Amongst that, acceptable one is this. Now, we are talking about Rama's time. And imagine the position of Rama, how much people have been glorifying Rama, accepting Rama. Suddenly one fellow comes and says, Rama had asked me to become the king and he is going to forest again. What would be the reaction? Forget about all that. What do you think Lakshmana would have done? Another man comes and says tomorrow, Rama only told that, I have to become the king. If he comes and sits there, what Lakshmana would have done? What Bharata would have done? Can he dare sit anyone in front of these sort of characters? Okay, Rama had left the scene. Rama and Sita had taken Vanaprastha Ashrama, they are left. Now these people are there, no? Bharata is there. Okay, we can say, assume that Lakshmana also left along with Rama. Okay, but then can anyone sit in front of Bharata in that throne? Can anyone have the courage? Impossible. Only alternative is these three fellows. All the three fellows has refused. Now what to do? The only option he has is what? If I can't renounce this, I have to renounce the other. No other option. If you can think of an alternative, give me. I have not found so far. I have not seen anyone able to give any. But we simply criticize. We say, how can he do that? Okay. Without knowing how much of thinking and effort he had put in to avert this situation. This is the only alternative he had. There is no other possibility. Now we can say, hey, why you forget it? No. That is why you are not Rama. If you say, forget it, no, if you say, that's why you are not Rama. Doesn't matter if you say, and you are not Rama then. That's what the difference is. All these guys are great. Bharata is great. Lakshmana is great. Shatrugna, all greats. But Rama stands one step above these fellows. Amazing character. Imagine Hanuman to look up to Rama. Huh? You have a better intelligence than Hanuman, is it? That's all. If at all you have to analyze, I say finally ask only this question. You mean Hanuman is looking up to Rama. Hanuman voluntarily accepts Rama as his master. I will serve you. Master, he says. That means, what is his caliber? What amount of moral character he must be having to command person like Hanuman to surrender? And what sort of a character strength Sita must have had for Hanuman to surrender after surrendering to Rama? Imagine Hanuman sees Sita first and then Rama. So he surrenders to Sita and then Rama, you can see. Sita stands one step above that. That is why he says, I have two masters now. I'm confused now, says. Earlier I had no confusion. I was serving Sugriva. I saw Rama. Pick off Sugriva, take Rama. Now I bring Sita. Now I'm confused, he says. Because Sita is, sometimes she looks greater, sometimes Rama looks greater. Sometimes she looks greater, sometimes Rama. So these two were fighting in terms of their character strength. Therefore, I don't know who to take. I have to take both. Imagine what Sita must be then to that command Rama had. Now, before you simply pass a remark, process it properly. Or when you critique something, you must be able to offer a better solution. When you are not able to offer a better solution, shut up. That's what I say. When they make this budget, ruling government will make a budget. Opposition will criticize. I say, before you can criticize, you make a budget. I think we should bring in as a practice. We don't have that in India. Opposition also should give a budget. Then we will know who is what. That's what we do. No? When I am sitting as leading that corona now, there. The party now elected has come into, that fellow is giving 10 lakhs. But on that same fellow, when he was standing as an opposition party leader, he was telling what? For every death, we should give 1 crore. When he was sitting as an opposition leader, he said, government should give 1 crore. Now that he is the government, he says what? Only 10 lakhs. You see that double standard. This is how we all live. When you are analyzing Rama, you analyze as though it is opposition. Now, you sit here. If you can give, I'm genuinely asking, I'm not simply challenging or anything. I'm genuinely asking. Visualize that scenario. Imagine in that night. He got the information and he is yet to call Lakshmana and say, take Sita out. Can you think of a solution which could have resolved the problem? Then it is valuable for us. Then we are thinking. If you can't think of something, you let me. Right. And those who are watching in Zoom also, you can think of and let me know. They will say, Zoom people don't have to. If it is going to be put on YouTube, those who are watching in YouTube also can give me. Let's see. If you can get, we are good. This is one dimension of Rama. We'll see more in the next.